My name is Emmy. I graduated in 2007 from Middlebury College with a bachelor's in English literature and a minor in Chinese language. When I graduated in '07, the economy hadn't yet exploded or imploded, and we were all still sort of assuming that we would get jobs right afterwards. If we hadn't figured it out by the time we graduated, then we would figure it out really soon afterwards. And then there was that very regular panic of like a liberal arts graduate saying, oh my god, I majored in something totally useless. English literature, how far is that going to take me? But then I really focused on the Chinese minor, and at the time, 3 years ago, everyone was saying, oh, well, you did Chinese, that was very practical, good for you, good for you. And I loved my study abroad experience in China. I studied in Hangzhou in '06. So I kind of, I graduated in May, I didn't have a job, and I was like, what does a lit major with a Chinese minor do? Who has, interest in the arts and environment and all kinds of different stuff. So I started really focusing on getting a job as a translator, and I got really lucky, and I ended up in Beijing that August working at a small environmental NGO called the Global Environment Institute. And they were totally Beijing-based, but all of their funding came from overseas, which meant that all of their grant applications had to be in English. But having a Chinese staff, everything had to be translated into English in order for any of the money to come in. So I got really lucky. With an alumni connection, I ended up with a translation job with them. I did that for about a year and a half, leading up to the Olympics, which was super cool living in Beijing at that time. And then for about 8 months after that, I was doing, various cool, odd jobs, some freelance translation. I worked on a film set for a little while. I traveled. I taught English. But throughout the whole thing, I was able to keep the translation gig, as kind of like my main thread of income, which I hadn't been expecting right when I graduated, but like 2 years later, it, had become this very steady thing that I could rely on, not only for an income, but also to help introduce me to different industries and fields that I ended up being very interested in. It was awesome. I mean, to put it in one word, I really, I think anyone thrives, anyone, our age, if, you're focusing on recent grads even later on, it feels so good to be constantly stimulated by things, to go outside and to be immediately learning. You go to the store and you have to kind of figure out what kind of meat you're getting, and if it's the kind of meat you think you're getting, and then sort of trial by error, laughing at yourself. Doing the whole real world thing after being a student is hilarious, if you're able to look at it with a sense of humor. And then doing it in a different language as this whole other level of just don't take yourself too seriously, explore as much as you need to. And so that aspect of it was really fun, being able to laugh at myself and being able to learn during, that whole process. And I just think, on a personal level, the experiences that you have when you live abroad, learning a different language, being able to immerse yourself in a different culture, it's great, not just because you are broadening your mind, making your own world bigger, but also, having been back in America now for a year, it's given me this whole new perspective on what it means to be American, and how I want to live my life now is very different than the ideas that I had about my future 3 years ago, the standards that I had, my definitions of success and things like that. So it was overall just a totally invaluable, awesome experience.